It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows, Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal. I'm your host, everybody, Mike Adams, sitting in the mobile cabin with Dan Jasa.
You're in the driver's seat.
I am in the driver's seat. I better pay attention, man. We're on the road, literally.
Yes, literally on the road. We're on our way back
from an event that we've been talking about here for the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And did we have fun or what today?
I had a blast. It was, I don't know, man. When you go into something blind and you don't know what to expect, you get kind of apprehensive, you get kind of anxious, and that's what today was.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. I was very nervous.
Were you?
Oh, you know what? Look, like we were talking about, I was expecting a lot more people.
That's true.
I was expecting, I don't know, more than, I don't know, there might have been 3 dozen people here.
Yeah, 3-4 dozen at the most, yeah.
At the most, I was expecting like a line of 100, 100 and waiting in line or whatnot. And yeah, I was a little nervous about what we were going to be shooting against. And then the even better, unknown distances.
Right. Yeah, we
went
up to 50 meters
or like 55 yards.
Right.
And we talk about we deal in yards.
Yeah.
And we're going to shoot something that's dealing with in meters.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We actually got a pretty decent explanation on that from
Skip,
the manager of Mudjaw Archery.
That's where we were.
Mudjaw Bowmen. That's where we were at shooting today.
Yeah.
And as I get on the freeway here, I see traffic backed up here for a good distance. I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad we're not on that side.
Yes, sir.
So, but we went down and shot today. It was Dan Jasa, the PSE sales manager for Ohio and Michigan, invited us down and gave us a call and said, hey, you guys want to shoot a FITA Field tournament? And I'm like, what a tournament?
Yeah, well, a FITA what? But, he gave us a call and, you want to shoot it? And we're like, okay.
Yeah, we'll give it a whirl.
We've never shot it before, never shot a tournament before, but we'll give it a whirl, right?
Yeah, and then he said, unknown distances.
Yeah, the first day. Because it's actually a 2-day tournament where they have, how many targets was it? 12 targets.
Yeah, 12 targets, 24 per day.
24 per day. What you do is you shoot a round of 12. They take a break for lunch, and then you shoot another round of 12, and you shoot 3 arrows at each target. So we went out for the first round of 12 at unknown distances. So that's the first day. That's your first day is unknown distances. 2 rounds of 12, let the arrows fly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And tomorrow, they're going to come back and by the way, those distances, it depends on the size of the target.
Yeah, the face of the target.
The face of the target is a diameter.
Yeah.
And that diameter will tell you if it's between, 25 and 35 and 35 to 45 and 45 and higher.
Yeah.
The distance, but they won't tell you on the first day. Second day, you come back, and it's the same face targets, basically a bullseye, but they tell you now what distance you can shoot.
Yeah, it's a known distance for the target.
But you're only allowed basically 1 pin.
Yeah, as we explain next time when we're talking with Dan Jasa and Skip, from the archery club there, they only allow 1 pin on here, but they did allow Danny and I to come in, as and to enjoy the event and shoot. We did use all of our pins.
We did use all of our pins. It gave us exposure to what FITA is and come down and enjoy the day. And what a beautiful day it has been.
It's awesome, man. The nice little breeze, sunny skies. The bugs weren't bad. We were in woods that actually were flooded. He said less than a month ago. I believe.
3 weeks ago,
and they were shooting fish in the woods.
There's a raised platform in the woods, and they said it flooded that they were on top of that raised platform
shooting carp.
Is that hilarious or what? Just
Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
So yeah, I guess it's in a floodplain, right there by the river.
Yeah, a little bit, huh? So yeah, 3 weeks ago shooting carp. 3 weeks later shooting a tournament here in Greater Toledo area. But what a beautiful day it was for that. Like Mike said, it was a little bit of a breeze.
No bugs. That was the thing, especially them talking about it being flooded down in the woods, in shaded areas. You would expect there was a few mosquitoes buzzing, but it was nowhere near bad.
Oh, it could have been a lot worse.
So
and the humidity is really down for July.
Absolutely.
So it made it even better. But like you said, Mike and I are down here. Well, we're on our way back now. But what an interesting shoot. It was a great shoot. What I liked about it was seeing the age groups. We figured the youngest, she might have been about 8. And
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and the oldest guy, I would almost say he was pretty close to 70.
Yeah.
So it was good to see.
Big, wide range of people.
Wide range of people shooting this tournament. So, what a blast.
Looking at other things that you shot, have you shot any, you shot 3D tournaments and stuff?
Yeah, we shot some 3D foam. We went to Reinhardt. And
what was the biggest thing that you took away from this versus like a 3D tournament that you'd shot? I mean, the biggest difference, or maybe something that you really learned while you were out there shooting?
Beats. Okay, so today, what I learned was I stink.
No, you don't stink. You're just having some issues with something. That's all.
I was, the first round of 12, I think I was nervous. I was just downright ick. The second, I improved my score, and it was like, okay, it felt a little better. And then then Dan gives me the pointers.
Right.
To help me. Thanks. But he said, but it was just one of those things that, it was fun. And I kind of liked it not having that many people. We never really got backed up.
No.
Like when we shot that Reinhardt, we got
to wait.
We stayed. We shot. Then we went to the next one. We stood and wait. We did more waiting, and it got longer. And but this one it flowed really well. They had everybody go to a target, and then start shooting.
Yeah, they had the 12 targets. And that's I really think that's why there's only 3 people per group instead of 4, because normally in that competition there's 4 people per group that shoot.
Right.
The way it's set up, but most of the groups were 3. There was one. The one ahead of us had 4.
Yep.
So
so
they had enough people to fill out the whole field of all the targets.
Right. Exactly. So but other than that, judging those distances, that was kind of interesting. And we started off on number 10, and wouldn't you know,
the longest target second longest target on the range.
Right. And my biggest concern, being nervous, was losing an arrow. Yeah, exactly. And it was like, oh, really? So, but we didn't lose. Mike and I did not lose an arrow in shooting the tournament itself. We lost arrows while shooting practice.
I lost 1 arrow in practice. Yeah.
Me and him both lost an arrow on the same target, shooting the 60-meter target.
Yeah, which they said was 66 yards.
Right, and we were way short.
Yeah. I used my 50-yard pin because that's what I had my floater pin sighted in at. I haven't set any other distances yet on my tape, on my sight, so I held it high and let her fly.
Yeah, and that was it. And both of ours were short.
I watched it die.
we were both short, and they went right into the grass perfectly, and
right under the target. Yep. So they're buried in the grass. Hopefully, somebody will get them a couple nice Black Eagle arrows.
Right, exactly. Because you were shooting the Renegades, right? Or what
no, I was shooting the zombies.
Oh, you were shooting the zombies. I was shooting the Renegades. Matter of fact, that's an interesting take we talked to Dan Jasa about the smaller diameter arrows, because he was using
toothpicks
with toothpicks with a knock and some vanes and a point, basically.
It was a real tiny diameter arrow. But talking about the weight of the arrow versus the trajectory that he was shooting and carrying the speed down range and the wind and the drag and all that. I mean, It's amazing how much science can go into
Well,
getting a stick downrange off a string.
besides that, you had the people that were shooting recurves, and then you had, the people shooting compounds.
Right.
That was a big difference, too. And Dan gave us one goal. He goes, don't let the people with recurve show you up. And I'm sure they plenty did. But, yeah, that was one of the things that, that was one of the nice things, too, that we got to do, is we got to shoot in a group with Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of walked and talked and learned a lot of things that, basically like we do here in the cabin, have a fireside chat while walking, learning, talking archery, right?
Yeah, we try to pass along our knowledge and things that we've done or things we've seen or experienced, and that's what it was today with Dan doing for us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he had some pointers for me after the done shooting. He wants me to work on some stuff because I have some issues.
I could have told him you had issues.
True. Good point. But
you mean archery issues?
Yeah, archery issues.
Okay.
Stop it. So, but it was a blast. I think overall, it was fun, and I'd be glad to do it again next year.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, we're going to bump up here on a break because we're pulling into one of everybody's favorite stores, Cabela's.
Absolutely, we got to pull into Cabela's because somebody.
I got to return something.
Yeah, and so we're gonna go to our first break, and as we come into our second break, we're gonna do an interview with Skip,
who is on the board of
Mudjaw Bowmen, and we're gonna talk. And Dan Jasa is gonna be there with us. An interview we did with him just a few minutes ago at the show, at the Sportsman's Club there, and he's gonna tell you all about Mudjaw and FITA.
We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We are down in the greater Toledo area.
Yes, we are.
We're down here at Mudjaw Bowmen. And as we get ready to say before we're through to the break, we're going to have an interview here. We've got one of the board members here at Mudjaw.
He's in charge of the field operations here.
Skip Smajinski. Skip, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
This is the first time I've ever shot an event like this. I've always shot 3D foam. This is a whole different ball game. This is a beautiful course you got out here. Talk a little bit about the event that we shot today and kind of how this works.
Okay. Today was the Ohio State FITA Field. It's a 2-day shoot. The first day, like you guys shot today, was all unmarked distances. You shoot 24 targets, ranging anywhere for the adults is anywhere from 10 meters out to 55 meters. You shoot 3 arrows per target at a black and yellow face. And then tomorrow you'll shoot same face, but at marked distances from 10 meters to 60 meters.
We really appreciate you letting us hunters come in here and
Absolutely.
Try our hand at this. What really got me is you guys are talking 10, 15, 20 meters, whatever. I'm used to yardage.
Yeah, we're yards kind of people.
And Dan Jasa, he started talking about meters and centimeters on the faces, and I'm like, huh?
Exactly.
But we appreciate you letting us come in, come in and shoot. We shot for score, but we're not in the tournament.
not in it.
But, that's a big switch over from yardage to meters when you're not used to that. Do you have a lot of hunters come in here and shoot these events, or are these mostly just target archers?
This event's mostly target archers, and even myself, I don't do the meter thing either. So I'm right there with you. I'm the whole time calculating, okay, this is 50 meters, which is, add roughly 10%, roughly 55 yards. So I'm right there with you. It's different. I judge everything in yards, and then and luckily my sight tape's in yards. So I go that route.
He's the old converter guy where Dan was over there.
Yeah.
Dan, get over here. Come on, man. Your brain was smoking out there. I seen you doing all these calculations in your head, but talk a little bit about having to run through something like that.
Between you two guys, because you stay with yards, convert to yards. You don't convert to yards, right?
No, I don't convert to yards. For me, like tomorrow on the mark side, I'm going to walk up to the stake and it's going to say 40. I want to crank my sight to 40. I don't want to have to go 40 is 40 times and get to 44 yards and have a chance of misset my sight. So typically on my sight program, I'll just switch over to meters and get my marks and make a sight tape for meters.
Now tomorrow I will have a meter printout for my marks. So I want to do the conversion, but today I forgot about doing it, and I judge.
So you did forget.
So today I do. I judge in yardage anyway, so there wasn't any sense in having. But I was converting, and the 40 centimeters between 20 and 30 meters or whatever it was, and then, so I had to convert that to yards and say, okay, that's between 22 and 33 yards or whatever. Then I get to make sure I was in the right ballpark. But yeah, it's definitely different if you're not used to doing the metric stuff.
Oh, it melted my brain, especially.
I was lost.
He started talking centimeters on the faces of the targets. You've got, I think, is it 24, 40, 60, and 80? Is that right?
20, 40, 60.
20, 40, 60. Okay. And there's one out there, and you couldn't tell if it was a 60 or 80 because it was on a different size bale, a smaller bale, bigger. It looked like a bigger target. And then playing with the distances in the tunnel with the lighting. Yep. And, yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop.
I think we were all taken back on that one after we let our arrows go.
Yeah, I think the one with the big bale with the big target on it got a lot of people. A lot of people misfaced that one. Now, this is pretty soft when it comes to a FITA field. I mean, your typical FITA field, you had this tree stand shot. It was a 15 feet up, pretty good short angle at the short distance. That's nothing. I mean, you can have shots, that 50 meters like that, or you might have an uphill shot at that. Unfortunately, we don't have the terrain here to get uphill shots like that safely.
Right.
So we do things like that, play with the tunnel effects, things like that, throw you off a little bit. Can't make it too easy.
It did. It played with my head a little bit, and the last couple of weeks I've been shooting different distances and trying to really hone in on estimating distance. But yeah, this warped my head. Yeah. It was good.
Fortunately for me, I used to shoot a lot of 3D. It's been quite a few years, but so I'm used to judging the yardage, and so it wasn't too bad. But, it is definitely shot with a couple target guys. It's like, they hate this unmarked part because it's just a guess
right.
every time. I mean, they look at that sheet and say, okay, this can be between 20 and 35 meters. Is it closer to 20 or closer to 35? And they say, yep.
Yeah.
Pick one of those numbers, and that's good to go.
Right on. Something else here that Dan keyed us in on is shooting the FITA Field. You're only allowed one pin on your sight. You don't have multiple pins where you can shoot.
I think technically you only have one reference point in your scope, I believe.
One, okay. So you're on one pin.
5 pins would be technically five reference points. Yeah.
So that's a little different, for us guys. I mean, we're used to setting up on 20, 30, 40, and I got a floater. Like I said, I appreciate you letting us come in here and play today because that's really all we did. We got to play.
Yeah, it's good to expose people to things like that, as you can see what, the target side of things are. And it makes you, better for hunting, too. It's good practice.
Speaking of exposing, tell us about the Mudjaw Bowmen here. Give us a little background of this place and where it is and how it is and how old it is.
Yeah, the club's been around since 1953. They've moved around a little. I've only been here since about 2009, so about 8 years or so. They've had a few different locations. They've been here on this property since about 1970, I believe. It's one of the oldest clubs around. Not a huge membership. I think we're right around 50 paying members and about 20 lifetime members. After you're a member for, I believe it's 15 years, you become a life member and you don't have to pay dues anymore. We got a lot of old guys that go back a long ways. Fred Bear actually used to come down here and shoot some back in the 50s. The one, probably one of the oldest surviving member, might be the only surviving member, one of the original founders. He used to actually hunt with Fred Bear.
Oh, no kidding.
He's 90. I think his name's John Sinkovich. I believe he's 92.
That's
right
awesome. What a legacy.
Yes.
Yeah, but we got about 30 acres here. We do I run some field leagues here. We do a lot of indoor stuff. Got a big indoor league on Wednesday nights, which is all pretty much hunters.
Okay.
They shoot animal targets indoors from anywhere from 20 feet to 60 feet, 20 yards.
Okay.
This area in general has a ton of hunters and traditional guys. Recurves are big in this area.
Okay.
They do a lot. We do 3D shoots, and we also do paper animal shoots, cardboard animals. That's really big in this area. They like they cardboard cutouts, draw kills and stuff on them, and put them up.
There you go.
The traditional guys really like that. Myself, I'd rather shoot the 3D targets, but
right.
That's what they like doing, and
right.
that's what's really big in this area. We every year we do a big wild game dinner. That's our main fundraiser for the year every February. Usually pack a place with about 300 plus people.
Nice.
We think we got 22 indoor lanes in there, and we do run on Monday nights. We run a family night, so families come out. Kids start off as a kids night, then the parents got involved, so we just made a family night, so parents come out and shoot. We do run it during the winter, but on Fridays we run like a Joe Ed program for the kids that want to take it a little more serious, get into more of the target stuff.
Okay.
And then Tuesday nights we run a spot with indoors.
Okay. So you got room for memberships?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What does membership here cost if somebody's interested?
The first year is $125. It's a $50 initiation fee, and then it's $75 a year after.
Okay.
And then after a year, a member for 2 years, you can apply to be what we call a certificate holder. You pay $250, and then you get a key for the indoor range and get 24-hour access.
Okay. Now, and if somebody wanted to join the league, how would they get a hold of you?
You can go to mudjawbowmen.com and send an email, and there's a phone number on there too. You can call, leave a message, and I think the phone actually comes here to the clubhouse, so it doesn't. Somebody probably won't answer, but you can leave a message and get back to you. But yeah, the leagues, like the indoor leagues, start usually first week of January. Okay. And our Wednesday nights are a big one. There's usually 40 plus people, and they're shooting, and they shoot a half and make dinner and then eat dinner and then shoot second half.
There you go. That's the thing. You guys had lunch here for us. We shot the first half, and after that I want to take a nap. Yep. I got a little sluggish. Yeah, I got a little sluggish out on the course there. So, but no, that was nice and everything. And something else that's very unique about this place. I've never actually shot anything where I've crossed state line multiple times throughout the day.
Yeah, that's one thing unique. We got an Ohio mailing address, but the majority of the property is in Michigan.
Yeah, so you're right on the state line.
Yep.
Okay.
So anybody of our listeners that are in the greater Toledo area that want to join a archery sportsman's club, they can come out to Mudjaw.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go here to break, Dan, you mentioned that we've got a PSE dealer right here in the area where people can get their bows worked on, and you want to talk about. I forget the name of the place, but I know you remember it.
Cleland's Outdoor World is our PSE dealer in the greater Toledo area. Galen kind of runs the show on the archery side over there, and they do quite a bit of stuff with targets and kids and have an indoor range. So if you guys are in the market for a PSE or wanting to shoot some of the new stuff, head over to Cleland's and talk to Galen.
All right. So what do you think, Dan? You ready to talk about this a little more on our way home here?
Absolutely.
All right. We're going to throw it to a break here, and next time you hear from us coming out of the break, we're going to be on our way back to Michigan. Actually, Michigan, I think, is just across the parking lot here. So.
You're standing in Michigan right now.
Oh, I'm standing in Michigan. Okay, we got to go. We got to go to Ohio to get back to Michigan. Yep. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll be right back after this break.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome, everybody. Third segment of the show. You just heard a great interview from Skip at Mudjaw with Dan Jasa and Mike and I. And
I could only say his name correctly once, so I'm sticking with that.
Yeah, go with it, because it ends in ski.
Yep.
And we weren't going to play that game.
I practiced it.
You did. But we're getting back out on the road from everybody's favorite sporting goods store.
And here comes a brand new Corvette into Cabela's. May I ask how one would hunt or fish with a Corvette?
Well, I tell you what, it would be fun, but I'd like to see somebody strap a deer to the back of that.
I would too.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be funny.
But and here's a bonus for everybody that's listening. It's been a few hours now since we went to Toledo and we went and shot in this, and we get back in and Mike's in the driver's seat and we're going down the road and guess lo and behold, he's still got hot coffee in his thermos.
I do. Yep, got my little mossy oak.
Not little.
Well, tumbler here.
It's a 32-ounce tumbler.
It's one of those metal tumblers like some of the other companies make. And actually, I don't even know who makes that one, but it's got mossy oak on it. So
right, exactly.
It's camouflage.
But he went and took a taste of the coffee, and the coffee was still warm.
Yep.
Not that the vehicle was still warm itself to keep it warm. But
that might have had something to do with it.
A little bit. But yeah, so third segment of the show.
All right. Looking back at the overall at the shoot, you improved from the first segment to the second segment. You got some tutelage.
Okay, so the first 12 targets, I had 4 misses.
Okay.
The second round, I had 0 misses.
That's good.
That's good. And I improved my score by 5 points the second over the first.
Yeah, yep.
So to me, that was a win-win.
Yep. Improvement's always good.
Absolutely. And then I got some tutelage on the last one with Dan, and he wants me to work on some stuff because he was seeing some stuff that I was doing that was kind of...
And he thinks that's coming from that new release you're using.
Right, exactly. And to tell you the truth, nobody's ever watched me shoot.
Right.
Because I'm always shooting in the backyard by myself. And
I couldn't watch you shoot today.
Right, because you and I were on the line together at the same time.
Yep.
But, so he said, hey, I got some tips for you. So I had no problem taking a little bit of tutelage from Dan Jasa. Gave me something to work on, my sight and my trigger. So, with that being said, I will be practicing tomorrow promptly to get that fresh in my mind what he told me to do and start doing it.
Yeah, we ought to shoot tomorrow. Get up in the morning and put a few arrows downrange.
I'm sleeping in tomorrow, dude.
Sleeping in for you is 6 o'clock, though.
Yeah, I know. For you, it was a little early for you.
It was early this morning. I got up at 5:30.
I know. It was... So what was your takeaway from your shoot? I liked what I did because I improved from the first. Mm-hmm. I think I was a bundle of nerves the first 12 because it was just total, I don't know, it was mental chaos.
Sure. Well, the whole point of me coming down here, or actually the last 2 weeks, I've been shooting the Evolve, getting it set up for this shoot, making sure that I was ready to go. The last 2 weeks I've been pounding arrows into the target. And, and I was pretty happy with the way I was shooting at home.
You actually, on the second round, you started off neck and neck with Dan.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You were going
and then I fell apart.
The first 3 targets out of 12.
Yeah.
I think you were up on Dan.
Or
pretty close.
I don't think.
Hold on. Let me look. Oh, you know what? I don't have his score.
We don't have Dan's scorecard.
No, we don't. Yeah, we turned his in.
Just because they let us come down and shoot with our hunting gear, with the extra pens on there, we didn't turn our scorecards in.
Right.
So and we wouldn't want anything anyway because we're not going to be there tomorrow.
Right.
But that was the biggest thing going into that is the not knowing 100% sure where I was at shooting wise, because it's a brand new setup. Getting it dialed in and all that. I felt comfortable, but the bigger thing going into this shoot, as I was nervous because I didn't know the format, didn't know what to expect, didn't know nothing going down here to this, and walking in and then seeing all these people get their bows out and they've got the big stabilizers on them and they're launching these arrows and and they're hitting the targets and and I'm like, man, I hope I can make these conversions in my head, and not that I was doing any math. I was like, yeah, that looks okay. That's a 40-meter target. That's about 44 yards, I think they said. So I got a pin gap between my 40 and 50-yard pin.
Right, exactly. And we we talked about this, the possibility of us setting up our other bows with a kind of a specifically as target.
Hey, we got our bows in the vehicle. What do you think we stop right here in this field? There's 2 deer. Oh, look at the rack on that buck. Dude, that has got a rack on it.
Yes, it does. Wow.
The joys of driving out here seeing animals, I tell you. But
here it is, 5 o'clock in the afternoon on our way home, and the deer are out in the field feeding on the fresh vegetation that the farmer planted.
Yeah, buddy.
Bet you he's happy. But so we talked about maybe setting up our other bows as our 1-pin target bows because
yeah, absolutely.
So
other than that, getting down here and shooting. Once I shot a couple practice rounds, even when I lost that one underneath the bale when it zipped low. That was a 66-yard shot, and I didn't even have a pin set up for that. I was just guessing. So,
well, now we know.
Too worried, but after that, once we got on the course, I was okay till we walked to the first target, and I looked down range, and it was 50 meters through trees and downhill, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
right?
And I'm glad we had 10 or 15 minutes before the shotgun starts so we could actually sit there and contemplate what we had to do. And I'm running through my mind about how far I think it is. And I'm like, okay. We knew by the size of the target, the face of the target being 80 centimeters, that it was going to be between 35 and 50 meters, I think.
Yep.
If I remember right. So I'm like, okay, 50 meters, 55 yards at the most. I'm going to take my... And I know it wasn't 35. It was a long poke. I said, I'm going to take my 50-yard pin, and I'm going to hold it over top of the bull, about halfway up the face of the target, and that's how I judged my very first shot, and actually got pretty doggone close, and then I just dialed in after that.
Right, exactly. And you know what? Matter of fact, this was something that, as you're talking, I was thinking about that shot, because when we came back to that for the second round, we started back at target number 10 again for the second round. We all started in the same place again. But other people, and you got to remember that some people were using recurves.
Right.
And there were some young archers there that I don't know where they were shooting from exactly. But when we got back to number 10 for the second time, they had their binoculars out and they were looking into the tree.
Yeah, there was an arrow stuck in a tree about 20 feet up.
Right, because they were like, they said they launched the arrow and it went into that limb.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
it was there.
It was there. But I was just thinking about that, how much of an arc that they maybe had to shoot.
Yeah, well, I do know they were letting the kids shoot from different pins, and I believe even the women were shooting from different pins, or maybe it was recurves. I can't remember. Because if you notice the people in front of us, they didn't shoot at the far stake like we did.
They were
in front of us.
Right, exactly. And matter of fact, I think the one lady even said that she was a cub or something or whatever it was, and so it was just one of those things that, we got out there, we had some fun. And what did you take away also, the nerves, finally getting the first round under your belt, took a little bit of a break, and then heading out to the second one. What were you thinking around going into the second round?
Round 2, I was knowing that we were shooting the same targets again. I was like, okay, what are the long distances? What did I shoot for the long distance? What pin was I using? Was I splitting pins? Or was I doing a holdover? And trying to remember what it was that where I made the better of the 3 shots. Because you're allowed 3 shots at the target, or not allowed. You take 3 shots.
You in this FITA, you shoot 3 arrows, and this was something Dan alluded to. A difference between this paper tournament, you're shooting targets, as opposed to a 3D where you shoot just one.
Yeah.
You get 3 shots. So you actually get your first shot, and then you can either stick with where you were at and be good, or you could take the chance and improve.
Yeah, or try to figure out, okay, I made a bad shot. What did I make a bad? How did I make that shot? What caused me to miss? And try to correct it, and then take your second and third shot Whereas in a 3D tournament world, you get one shot at the foam and that's it. And you move on. You don't know, how if you missed, what caused you. You don't have time to really work all that out and take another shot.
Right, exactly. So he was explaining that, and so I know that afternoon round it started off a little bit warmer than it did in the morning.
Yeah, it was warm. I wanted to take a nap, but I started off like gangbusters, the first 3 targets, and I was up 7 points on my score from the first round. I'm like, okay, I'm already up 7. This round's going to go good. I shot a 170 the first round out of a possible 216 points. I only had one score where I only scored 1 point. Didn't have any misses. I had a few 3s here and there, but the rest were 4s, 5s, and 6s. And those first 3 targets, I was like, okay. I started feeling good about myself. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to make a little run here. And then the next 5 targets,
the wheels came off.
Well, put it this way: I had 3 targets left at the end, so that would have been 3 and 3, 6. The 6 targets in the middle, I lost 11 points.
Right, you were hurting.
Yeah, I wound up losing the 5 that I had, that I was up, and then I was down 7 with 3 targets left. And then actually, the last 3 targets I jammed and actually wound up 2 ahead of where I finished the first round. Shot a 172 the second round. So out of a 436 possible, or a 432 possible, I shot a 342. So
and that was awesome. You didn't lose any arrows on the course, unlike Dan, who lost a tip.
Well, it wasn't due to the fact of a bad shot.
No, it wasn't. It was actually because he did a good shot. It was the backstop of the target that was not good.
They put the bullseye right over top of a post.
So if the arrow went through it, went right into a wood 2x4.
Well, second round, you noticed a lot of those targets, the foam was getting blown out on the bullseyes, and he had a lot of pass-throughs. He had some issues because he was shooting those smaller diameter arrows.
Man, those things were zipping.
Yeah, and those things are expensive. I mean, I don't know how many arrows did he ruin more than just the one?
Actually, he lost the insert on one, and by no means we talked to him about these arrows, and they're not cheap. And he had he had 2 others. One, he didn't think it was bent, but he's gonna have to check it out, and then
it's fantastic.
And then the third one, he had to push it back through the foam, and it didn't look like the fletching was harmed, but he'll have to go and do a little surgery on it if he need be.
So you look at both rounds, I guess. My takeaway is I think I'm solid where I'm shooting right now with my setup, my sights on that bow. What I want to do now is I want to step back and start getting solid at 50 and 60 yards, and who knows, maybe even longer. Obviously we were shooting at a target an 80 centimeter face target. It's a pretty big target.
Yeah, it was pretty big. But then sometimes they kind of tricked you, and that was kind of the fun of this tournament, was that they would take the two biggest diameters and maybe switch them and do a little trickery with how the woods was set up, and give you a lighting tunnel effect, putting a bigger target on a smaller bale or vice versa, and it kind of played with your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things Dan had to run through his mind when he was shooting.
Well, I think I'm just like I said, I'm just gonna work on my distance now and just trying to get solid at shooting. I played around with a release afterwards that Dan had in his toolbox.
And you said that was a nice release.
Yeah, it was a Carter release that I'm looking at a different release. And we talked about the reasons why and some of the things that I was working through, and I think that's going to clean up a lot of the little bits of sloppiness in my shooting. But as far as my hunting setup, I'd be confident to walk out right now with it 20, 30 yards and go after something. I'm not worried about that at all.
Right.
But like you said, I think now, and I'm debating, do I take the DNA or do I take the decree that I've got setting back and build a target bow just to shoot targets? So,
I think so.
You know, I had a blast. I can see why people play this game now, and that's really what it's a game. You know, you want to maximize your score, and it's I don't know. I guess looking at it, I don't golf, but I can kind of equate it to that, I guess. You know, you try to shoot the lowest score possible with golf. Here you're trying to maximize your points. And fine-tune and hit a point at different distances, in different situations.
Yeah.
So
different angles, different lengths, different. Yeah. We had a couple. We had this one. It was about 20 feet in the air, and we got a picture of this. I don't know if you posted this picture. Yeah. And it was about Dan said it was about 38-degree incline.
Yeah.
We were shooting down on it.
Yeah, straight down on this target. That was it was on a bale, so the bale's facing straight ahead. When you look down on that, it was only about 15, 17 yards away, maybe.
Maybe.
You know, it was within the 15-meter range, which would have put it, you know, or was it 10 meters was the shortest?
I think it was. I want to say that was. I think it was 10 meters is the shortest.
So it was somewhere between 10 and 25 meters. But anyway, that thing was. When you think about how you're shooting at a target, it looked like an egg, because when you're on the incline, the face starts to disappear the steeper the incline.
Yep.
So that was a tough target. That wasn't easy. Actually, that one. I think I wound up shooting 4.43 on the last round. The first round I shot a 5.44 on it. So it that one, the angle definitely played with my head a little bit.
And there was a couple other shots too that they had the target kind of on an angle that you couldn't see the face square.
Right.
So that was fun.
So no, overall, man, I'm happy with the way I shot. I'm glad we went down.
Oh, absolutely.
I was apprehensive, but once we got shooting, you know, the first 2/3 of the first round I was fine, and then that last third I kind of struggled a little bit, and then after lunch, you know, the first 3 I did good, and the last 3 I did good.
Yeah, but that middle.
Well, you know what? I got a little swagger in me, and I'm like feeling a little confident, and I didn't take time and sit and really think about what I was doing. Oh, you getting the scorecards out?
Yeah, I got the scorecards right here.
But
so yeah, it was that middle 3 that you took a beating on.
Yeah, there was a couple of targets there that it was like 4.44 or 4.43, and it's just.
But you do got a lottery number to play tonight.
Yeah, 654.
654.
Yeah, I hit 654 on quite a few of them.
You did.
Shot, so.
That was fun. So, no, it was fun. Had a blast.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we take a quick break here as we're driving down the road?
Yep,
we're coming up to Ann Arbor here, and we come back. We'll talk a little bit and wrap up the show. So we'll step outside. And we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Last segment of the show. We are rolling up here just about Ann Arbor here. heading north in Michigan on US 23. Another glorious day. A lot of fun. I'm tired, wore out, but had a lot of fun today. So,
yeah, we did.
You're looking for deer, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Though I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking for deer.
We just saw them too. Was that $2?
That was $2. That one buck was pretty nice. They were out above its head, over its ears.
We were coming back 2 weeks ago from taking Jacob back down to school when he was off, and I haven't talked about this because I don't think we didn't have an opportunity on last week's show, but as we're coming north up 75 through northern Ohio, I can't tell you how many bucks I saw in velvet that were just already had monster racks on. You tell that they were going to be nice, mature bucks, this year, pushing probably that 130, 140 class, maybe 150. Body structure on these deer were huge. And I'm just going crazy. I'm driving, and my wife Shannon, she's like, "Would you just pay attention to the road?" And I'm like, "No, look at the size of that deer, And it was like 5 or 6 of them that we seen.
Really,
it just one after the other, after the other, after the other.
You know what? One thing Ohio is becoming really, really good for big deer. We've talked to Mark Hammer and the Hammer Buck. Definitely, I've seen pictures on Facebook now. Mark Hammer's gearing up for the season, and he
speaking of Mark, give him a quick shout. Did you see he's up to have his deer put on the cover of a magazine, and I can't remember the name of it offhand.
I did see that.
We've got that posted on our Up North Journal page, so make sure you go over and check that out.
Right, absolutely. Go give Mark a little helping hand. Vote for him to get on the cover of the magazine. And I just seen, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, he just finished, him and his son, building a hopper.
A grain feeder, yeah.
Yep.
Gravity grain feeder.
600-pound hopper.
Yeah, he said, now I got to figure out how to get on the back of a trailer.
Yeah. he thought the 175-pound one refilling was once a week. He won't have to do it as much with a 600-pound.
No, but he's going to have to get that thing in the woods. That's the next key.
Right, exactly. So, but you know what? It's nice to have big deer in Ohio. They're doing a really good job. Unlike, Michigan's got some good deer.
Yeah, well, we got some bad news this week, and I know that's where you're headed right now. So,
right, exactly. July 13th. If you've been watching Facebook and listening, the NRC Commission, Lincoln Roan and his group, Michigan Let 'Em Go, Let 'Em Grow, were on the leading forefront of trying to get a statewide APRs put into place for the state of Michigan. Kind of help Michigan out, trying to get the age structure of the bucks and the better class bucks up there.
Following right along with QDM and what they do.
Right, taking a page out of QDMA. We got the Northwest 12 up there in the northwest part of the upper state of Michigan that is doing this. So
doing very well.
So we got a role model for what can be done and what the outcome will be.
Yeah.
And we've been to the summit. We've seen the presentations on it. What your bucks can end up being, the health of your herd will turn out to be, and this all leads to also an economic impact for everybody up there.
Yeah, it's a win-win-win situation.
It's an all-win situation. When you've got better bucks in the area, that more people want to go hunting in your area. First of all, the price of land value is going to go up.
Yeah, you got more people coming in. You're going to have tourists coming into the area, spending money, wanting to hunt these bigger bucks if we had them here.
And this goes for state land as well.
State land as well, yeah. And then people want to buy land in the area where bigger bucks are.
Exactly.
So they can hunt them, which drives up the price of land. You're like, well, wait a minute, I don't want the price. Well, if you own land in the area, you want your land to be valuable.
Yeah, you don't want it to be non-valuable, non-value added. And so that's an indicator that this process, APRs, do work. It also helps out the mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
The little gas stations that these hunters need to stop at to pick up some little bit of groceries, maybe buy a license and stuff.
Yeah, get their supplies, what have you.
Right.
Buy gas, but rent cabins, rent ATVs, whatever. And then when they're up in the area, they see how beautiful Michigan is. They're going to maybe come back for the summer and spend more money here. Or buy a place here, and then when people are buying property and property values are increasing, that increases our tax base. So these local communities that are struggling to just get by all of a sudden have an infusion of tax dollars from property tax values going up and helping the school systems. It's just a win-win-win situation all the way around.
Exactly. But so that was all Lincoln Roan and his group using that as an example of what can Michigan do and be. And the vote came out on Thursday that we're not going to do anything.
Yeah, the status quo. The NRC actually turned their nose up at it and said no. And we were live streaming earlier today, Danny, and we kept saying there was 5 on the board. And Tony Smith actually corrected me, and there's 7 people on that board. The problem was that they didn't need the 7 votes. That once it got to 4, it was done. So
there you go.
It didn't matter after that. But they just basically turned it down. And it's gonna be status quo here in Michigan, business as usual. They want CWD cleaned up, they want the TB cleaned up, but we haven't been able to curtail these issues over the last several years. And what's the answer to taking care of it? Doing the same thing over again.
Just doing the same thing over. It's like a broken record.
It is. I forget the old saying, but doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Is just, it's insanity, and that's kind of what we're up against right now. And and I know certain people say we don't need APRs pushed and mandated. We can do this ourselves, and we can. And and maybe now the line's been drawn in the sand here in Michigan to where if the hunters, if they truly are fed up, maybe what we need to do is get with like-minded people here and maybe get a political action group together. And when we vote for our next governor, because these NRC people are appointed, and maybe that's what we need to back somebody who's going to truly use the scientific research and data that we've got to improve our deer health and deer herd.
Yep, exactly. And that's one of the things, now that this vote has come down and what's going to happen, and basically we're going to try to get Lincoln Roan on. We're going to let him calm down a little bit.
Yeah, we better give him a week or so.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get him on the show and find out what the next steps are. And, it's going to be one of those things. We're going to have to put our heads together collectively and go after the right groups to help us groups, the Lincoln Roan group, maybe getting with MUCC and finding out, hey,
what QDMA, get them all involved.
Yep, we need some help. What can we do to go after the right people to get the people in place to make the right decisions according to sound science?
Absolutely, because right now it's just there's just no direction, and I'm not advocating that this is going to cure everything.
No, it's not.
It's one tool to start the process, and like I said, there's been research behind this that this is working in other areas, But to do absolutely nothing and expect different results, it's insanity, and that's where we're at. There's no new ideas being presented by the NRC. There's no new direction. There's nothing. I mean, it's, hey, buy more doe tags. Let's shoot up the deer herd. Let's get rid of the numbers of the deer. There's nothing to do with age structure here, and it's just, to me, it's just a waste of time. A waste of our resources.
We got this disease in the area. Let's get some sharpshooters out, and we're just going to decimate everything.
Well, that's one thing, and then we've got down here in Ann Arbor, which we're just kind of rolling through now, where they've used. What am I trying to say here?
Oh, they basically went and they
sterilized
the they does. Tried to sterilize the does. They spent $250,000 to do this project.
For population control. When you could take and sell special limited tags to archers in the area to come in and take and harvest these deer. And you know what? And maybe you don't get to keep them. Maybe you just get the opportunity to come in and help out the DNR, and it goes to a food bank. How about that? That way you make a little money on it, plus the fact you get to turn around and help out some people in need.
Absolutely. And there's one thing that hunters are good about is the hunter for...
Hunters for the hungry.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
Been a long day.
Yeah, and they have no problems donating a deer.
Absolutely.
They have no qualms about, this deer's mine. No. Hey, I shot this deer. I've already got one. Or maybe, like you said, this might be a special tag. Yep, I got it, but you know what? It's going to go to a family in need.
Yep, there you go.
Hey, how's that feel?
There's ways of doing things the right way to make an impact and keeping things under control. And it just, once again, it just boils down to these mindless bureaucracies of trying things or doing things and taking it out of the hands of the people who truly care.
Yep. And what I don't want to happen, and I've kind of seen it a little bit on Facebook, it's only been a couple days since this ruling came down. It's not the DNR.
No, there's a lot of people speaking out against the DNR. The DNR, they're the boots on the ground. They're the ones that implement the rules, but the rules are made by the NRC. It's not the DNR making the rules. The DNR actually asked for APRs up in DMU 487, which is up in northeastern Michigan where I hunt, where the TV is.
And that was one of the hopes. If we did not get a full state APR ruling, a hope was at least maybe we could get that instituted.
Moving forward.
Just one little baby step forward. Maybe we get the upper half of Michigan into an APR, but that didn't happen either.
And there's a lot of things that were said on the backside of this that people were at the meeting heard the people on the commission say that was just appalling. It didn't have anything to do with the cares of the hunters. It was some ludicrous things that were being said, and if you want to search some of that out, definitely get on the internet and check it out. Like I said, earlier on our live stream, I'm not going to sit here and point stuff out when he said, she said stuff.
No,
but you can find that for yourself, and it's just, to me, for a government official who's appointed to do a job, and you got the 7 people that are making the decisions for all the hunters, and not just the hunters, but even the nature lovers here in Michigan. We don't want to see disease run through our deer herd. And I know people who like seeing deer that maybe recreational feed them down here in the lower part of the state where it's legal. They just like seeing the deer. Well, these diseases, if they're not kept in check, they're going to come through, and it's going to get serious.
Yep, exactly. So, you know what? It's time to we lick our wounds, and then maybe formulate a different game plan.
Yeah, and we'll get Lincoln on and maybe talk about this a little more.
Yeah, and see where he's going to go with this.
And do a live stream. We'll get him on. You guys can, throw some questions out and stuff, that way as well. And obviously, it's kind of hard to do a live stream. We did a live stream today driving down the road, but it's hard to do a podcast while I'm driving and do a live stream together. So, next week we'll kind of be back to business as usual here, hopefully. But
right, we did a early morning live stream. But we'll be back business as usual next week.
You got anything going on here this next week?
Next week? Quickly run through my head here as to what dates it is. But next week, I think I'm going to take a little vacation. Go head to the upper to Mackinac.
Okay.
And hopefully, I'll. You know what? I think I'm going to try to get a hold of. We wanted to get Nick Percy on.
Yeah, we got to line him up.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get Nick Percy on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's July. It's time to start thinking fall. Get those food plots, right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk to Nick Percy about it over at Killer Food Plots. Get him on. What we need to do, I think we shared the post on our Facebook page. If you want, get in there, get that weed killer, kill off that food plot, get it ready. You're going to turn it under and get ready for a fall plot.
Yeah, actually, I'm going just a little bit of a different route, but a lot of the same steps. But we're going to get out there and fertilize again here in the end of August, probably Labor Day weekend when I get up there, and we're going to spread down our Carnage brassicas from Killer Food Plots, throw down our fertilizer, and then we're going to take and we're going to mow that field that I've got right now on top of it, so we've got that thatch to cover it. And get that stuff on the ground and let it roll,
There you go. So, this next week we're going to see about getting a couple people on the show. So we'll let you know if we get them lined up. We'll get something out there a little bit early so you can formulate your questions, find out what's going on.
Absolutely.
I want to see if I can get my forester on as well and kind of talk to him. Anybody looking into land and wanting to forest it, and we can talk to Brock and
get into the forestry program and save yourself some money on your taxes.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. That's all part of it. But other than that, nope. It's middle of July, and we just got done shooting a tournament.
Yeah. I think I'm going to shoot tomorrow. I'm going to get the bow out again tomorrow and do some more shooting. I do have to work tomorrow, but tomorrow morning I think I might get up and fling some more arrows. And next week is going to be the last week that I really don't have anything to do until Labor Day. After that, I'm stacked up with events at Cabela's. There's several Cabela's we got around the area, and got the grand opening coming in a couple weeks. We're going to be down there with them at the new store. We got Bow Fest coming up. And
we got August 5th and 6th. We're going to have Mike and I will be at the Chesterfield store at Cabela's, the new one. August 26th is Bow Fest.
Yep.
And so it's going to be starting to wind up here. Oh, matter of fact, I think at the end of the month, in 2 weeks, we're going to have Bow Hunting Classic.
Actually, I will be at Cabela's in Dundee for that, working for Vortex Optics.
Right. So, yep, ladies and gentlemen, it's back. It's time.
It's time to get ready for hunting season.
It is.
Well, we're still trucking up north here. We're going to let you go. You can probably hear it in our voices here. We're on a rough road running through a little bit of a construction zone. So we're going to let you go, and we'll be back again next week. Hopefully have somebody on to talk some food plots or some hunting, or maybe even get Lincoln on. But we'll have somebody on. Hopefully we'll talk to you guys next week. Y'all take care.
This episode was brought to you by PSC Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows, Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.